Yeah, I'm good, man. I think we should say the strength that you've had to come to perform tonight live for everybody who's watching on YouTube, because Jay has come down with what is known as the worst infliction on mankind since Jesus kicked footballs with sandals. It's man flu, and he's persevering. So,
got a severe severe hardcore case of man flu. I have resisted the temptation to ring 999, but I am going to go home. I'm probably going to pick up one of them little bells when I get, on my way home. So I can lay on the couch and ring that and see if my missus will come and bring me.
Will she be sympathetic to you?
No.
Really?
She's had it.
She's not had man flu.
But the thing is, man flu can kill a man.
Yeah.
And like women get man flu and they still, do you know what I mean? They'll still like be able to go to work, do the shopping, look after the kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Have a fight in the playground, all that gear, no drama. Yeah. Like, not an issue. We get it.
Yeah.
And I'm out of the game. Like, I'm neither, what is it? Neither use nor ornament. What's the saying?
No idea.
No, thanks for clearing that. Thanks for helping me. So, yeah.
Can I throw you under the bus?
Of course you can. You always do. You won't be the first time you throw me under the bus on this podcast.
That needs to be a section on the show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Childbirth or man flu, which is the worst?
That's not even comparable.
Go for it. Right? I dare you.
Do you know what, right? Don't really want to sleep in the garden.
You can keep in my house.
I
haven't got one, but you.
All right. Well, I'll sleep in your garden. See, my missus breezed through childbirth. I know childbirth is like horrible.
Yeah.
From like my missus said she didn't mind it. Honestly, I know that people think I'm making out, but she said she enjoys everything about being pregnant.
Did you have the drugs and all that on it?
Yeah, I think so. Like
that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it was the first time when my son was born. There was like a fucking team in there, so you start panicking.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Because like, this isn't good if there's like 5 or 6 nurses in here. And do you ever watch Little Britain when they used to do the thing where they went to? Do you ever watch Little Britain?
I've seen a few of them. Yeah.
Where they went to the Fat Fighters Club, and there was the Asian lady who'd speak, and the woman wouldn't be able to understand her. And she say it again. And the doctor was Asian, and that's what the nurses were like. They were like, what did you say? What did you say? And I'm panicking, thinking, oh my God, I'm Asian. I was just translating, like, because I couldn't understand what she was saying, because she was talking English. I was like, oh my God, what is going on here? Anyway, no dramas, he pops out. And then for me, the youngest, you had to be induced. And then he gave her something to take something, don't he? He said, go and have a little walk round.
Yeah.
And then she walking around the hospital with Shaw, obviously. And then got back. Oh yeah, my missus in the chat. She says he doesn't know. He was asleep. Only drugs I had was paracetamol. So there you go. I might have fallen asleep during the
It's a long
time, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it mattered. And I woke up in time for the big event.
And you would have had to drive them home.
Yeah,
exactly. You don't want to be falling asleep down the wheel of a newborn.
Exactly. So if anything, you're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're sleeping at mine tonight?
Yeah, definitely. Where we're going to stay? What we're going to talk about tonight, Arkid?
Well, there's been a lot of shit going on, hasn't there? Yesterday with the derby, and then today the U-turn, which seems like the Tory party's main manifesto, isn't it? We'll come up with an idea and then we'll just change our minds and it's 6 weeks later. Where do you want to start? It's like shit or?
Should we get the derby out of the way?
If you want.
Because I don't know how you feel about this, Scotty. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it was horrible. Getting beat 6-3 is horrible, and I woke up this morning, you realise straight away, you wake up, you think, oh, fucking hell, we lost again, didn't we? Shit. But there was part of me that was like, I know this is a low bar, and I know this is proper 2-bit, but I was like, could have been a lot worse, man. Because at half time, I was panicking. Because I thought this is going to be 7 or 8-0. Like, this is going to be one of the record-breaking scores, not just for the derby, for football.
Anything, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because we were so abysmal. And City was so rampant that I just thought this is, we're going to be in all sorts of trouble. But we rallied a little bit. Obviously, City made some changes and that, sort of foot off the pedal. But the fact it's 6-3, it's not like giving me comfort. But the thing I'm thinking of is it could have been worse.
It softened the blow.
It softened the blow, didn't it? Because we were terrible.
It was sobering for me, I think, because if anyone, I'm a bit pessimistic when it comes to United now, I was getting carried away with the recent results. So I think it sort of shows that, we're better than the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal, but City are just so far ahead of us. I was more upset by the Brentford defeat, though. than the
Was ya?
Yeah, I think so. Because
so-
Man City is a team that's been assembled by another country.
Do you know what?
Do you know what I mean? Like Brentford has obviously got a world-class manager that's managed to get a fantastic performance out of players that don't, cost hundreds of millions of pounds. So I think that's a harder job for Brentford to beat Man City.
Do you know what? I hear that. I think was it whoever was on commentating or one of the pundits or someone said like, "Oh, this is worse than Brentford at half time," and I was like, "Well, it's not." Do you know what I mean? Like it's horrible and it's City, but at least like with Brentford, at least City go they are world class. Erling Haaland was playing on a different level to everyone else. Brentford, you had like Ben Mee and players like that who, score once every 5 years, banging them in. It was like, what is going on here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not excusing it because it was still terrible. But yeah, in terms of perspective, people as well will look at it and go, well, City haven't been battering teams this season, but they're getting there, aren't they? They're getting into the stride. We've come off the back of a break. And again, it still doesn't excuse everything, but we played, no Premier League games for a month?
Yeah. And I think had we maybe played the Palace and Leeds games and then gone into this or the international break and got a result against them, it might have been a little bit different. But they just looked completely shell-shocked from the minute they walked out on the pitch. It was just completely... it reminded me of when Yaya Toure used to play for Man City, and it's like boys versus men, and it just felt like they were just sort of... shitting the pants from the off, really. I mean, so there were a couple of bum decisions I thought, but I thought Ten Hag should have played Casemiro.
Yeah. Would you say that before the game?
Yeah, I think so. I understand why he's given McTominay a little bit of leeway because his performances have been really good, but I just think with Eriksen was playing, I'd have set up a lot stronger in midfield because that's where Haaland's a fantastic goal scorer and player, but he needs to get the ball. I think if we shut up midfield a little bit more, then it might have been a more difficult task.
It was frustrating the way that De Bruyne just had all that freedom. Yeah. At one point, he just ran through and there was no one challenging for about 20 metres. It's like, you can't do that with him. You've got to be on him. Do you know what I mean? Because he's always going to pick out the way to pass as well from the goal is just perfect.
Yeah, he's an exceptional talent. That's what I mean. If you put like a player like Casemiro on him, then it relies more on let's have it right. Grealish and Foden had a sensational game. It's probably the best game I've seen Grealish play for Man City since the start. But it's tough to take. Wasn't as bad as Brentford, and we carry on.
People in the chat will get involved. Emma K says 6-3 is basically 2-1. I'm not that bothered. There you go.
That's fair enough. We won a half each, didn't we? I think that was that. And that's what the straw everyone was clutching at yesterday.
Santa Knot says movement sweatshirt, like it. Someone else commenting saying, Andy C, where has Scotty got that jumper from? It's class.
I bought it from, I went to watch New Order at Heaton Park. It was the very first gig I went to after the pandemic.
Right.
I bought it from there.
Have they been performing with
Pet Shop Boys in New York this week?
Yeah, that looks decent. That I watched that. I mean, I didn't go obviously, but I watched the Pet Shop Boys at Glastonbury, on Bieber.
They had some tunes, man.
I know. I was thinking like, I don't remember all these tunes. These are sick.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the sexuality thing. I don't know if they ever got the sort of same gravitas when during the 90s and 80s, especially in my circle anyway. And I think because of more accepting times, it sort of went under the radar.
Like, it would have been sort of less popular for you to be like, I'm mad into the Pet Shop Boys, me.
I think so.
Yeah.
In
the circles you go in, like, people being like, really? But, when you look at him, when I was watching him, and it was tune after tune after tune, because I saw him once at V-Fest, and he didn't play, like, the normal songs. They did some madness. It was all right.
Bag of trousers and stuff.
Techno, yeah. Get out.
Pet Shop Boys do madness.
Yeah, it was crazy. One step beyond and all that. We're expecting that. But yeah, it was a bit more like a sort of techno set or whatever. It wasn't all the tunes. We obviously watched them at Glastonbury, and it was just tune after tune. Everyone was like having a mint time. And we saw the tour in New Order. Got James Young presenting now, and I was on a radio show with him the other day at Media City, and he was saying that he's not into New Order. It was without Peter Hook, aren't you? Is that what you were saying? Peter Hook's not with him in a minute, is he? They had a row with him in the summer.
That man's not going back to be in New Order ever.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no point in me saying because no one can hear me. But his book, Substance, is very good.
James Young says his book, Substance, is very good.
Both his books.
We'll get him a mine next time.
Yeah, both his books on Joy Division and
is it done? Because they've had rows before, haven't they?
Yeah, no, I think with the legal battle that they went through and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's a shame, innit?
Yeah.
You don't look that bothered.
I don't know. I just wish that I think some bands reach an expiry date. I think we've mentioned this before with Oasis, and I always get pelters for this online. Is because I think Oasis, if they'd have called it a day after What's the Story or Be Here Now, I just think that it might have been I prefer the question of what would they have gone on to do.
Yeah.
Like the Lars are known as like a renowned album. The Smiths only were going for like 6-7 years. I prefer my bands to sort of call it a time. But it's a New Order been going on since fucking Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
Long
just
time. Not the new material, no. But when they start like replacing someone as pivotal to the band as Peter Hook, and I'm not knocking the new bass player, but you know, Hook's bass line is made
part of it, innit?
Yeah.
Part of it going back to the Joy Division days. I love Peter Hook because I interviewed him once for the Great Manchester Run. Just before he's into his running and all that, innit? He used to do the Great Manchester Run every year. And when I was at Kieran 3, he sent me down to interview everyone. And I interviewed him, and I said, been training and all that. He said, no, I was out last night with the Happy Mondays. And I thought, that's the worst training you can do before a 10K ever. Imagine going out all night out with the Happy Mondays and then doing a 10K. But no, it is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I've not seen anything new from the New Order for ages.
No, I went to watch him at Jodrell Bank, which was a pretty of a cool gig.
Right,
yeah, that was good. And Johnny Marr came out.
Seriously?
Doing his own like solo stuff.
Decent,
that was decent.
Santa Notch says, getting away with it was a Pet Shop Order Smiths hybrid.
Yeah, they actually played that song. So they came out and Bernie, Johnny Marr at Jodrell Banks doing electronic.
What have you made? Did you watch 24 Hour Party People? Have you seen that?
Yes, I was talking about this today actually because it's 20 years this year and it's
is it?
Came out. Yeah.
What did you make in that film?
Well, I've interviewed a lot of people about that time and that book. That film is in my new book, Mancunians, which is available on all Amazon and other.
Very, very good interviews in that book.
Yeah,
very good.
It's a laugh on it, but I think because I was unaware of all the stories at the time, I took a lot of it as fact.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you just think it must have been that mental. Yeah. All the drugs that are flying around, and then subsequently, I've got to know several of the people that were in the film. And all of them just say it's all bullshit. But even Tony Wilson was around at the time he vetoed everything and sort of signed it off. And then probably was mates with Steve Coogan, was quite happy what Coogan was doing with it. It's quite happy that it was just. It's like what is it? If what's the quote he says in it? Legend.
Oh yeah, it's old John Ford quote in it. Yeah, you've got a choice between truth and a legend. Print the legend.
Print the legend.
Yeah, and there's parts in it where they have the real people in it.
Yeah,
breaking the fourth wall.
That never happened.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, which is where he says print the legend. So you get that, and also, how good is your memory going to be anyway?
Yeah.
From some of that, if you're out your head 30 years ago or 20 years before they made the film, are you going to remember all the details and everything, and everyone exaggerates and all that sort of stuff?
Interesting thing about that film, do you think that Manchester or the Hacienda would still have the reverence that it has today and still be painted like black and yellow across Manchester? And I'm not taking it away from the club or Factory Records, but it felt before that, because it was, let's say, year now 97 to 2002 when that came out. Yeah. Don't remember much being mentioned about the Hacienda, but when that film came out, it sort of propelled it again to have like a new lease of life.
Well, it's like this like you make a point now with the Hacienda, because when I was a kid, it was still a thing. I went there once when I was 16. I didn't think much of it. My only memory of it was Red Hot, and it was about £5 for a nice lolly or something stupid. And then it shut not long after that. I think it shut in 96, 97.
97
so,
it was.
Yeah, so I was...
Yeah, they're doing it for a year after the IRA bomb.
Right, so yeah, I would have been 17 when it shut, so I must have been 16, 17 when I went there. But there was always this thing about Hacienda. It was almost like this, it was like folklore. Oh, the Hacienda was all this, that and the other, and you think, I don't really know much about that. And then there was also stories about gangsters and drugs and people dying and stuff or whatever, people getting shot. And then, like you say, now it's like, oh, everyone loves the Hacienda. And was it City put like yellow and black things on the kit and all
It's
that?
just become a brand, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's completely devalued the sort of artistry, especially of like a lot of the musicians and stuff, when you see places like Selfridges selling frigging Joy Division oven gloves. I mean, that's what Ian Curtis wanted, didn't it? 500 quid, mate. But that, I mean, a lot of going back to the Peter Hook, that was a lot of the sort of bitching was because at the end of the Hacienda, and I think I've got this right, is that nobody wanted anything to do with the naming rights or the sort of logos or black and yellow, and because of the amount of money that New Order had lost. So basically, Bernard and the rest of them said, right, well, we don't want anything to do with this. Hook has been a little bit opportunistic, and obviously he owned it and said, right, well, I'm going to buy the copyrights to this. Lo and behold, that film comes out, shitload of money, Hacienda Classical, everyone's got this new investment in it, so he's making a shitload of money. So there's a lot that I'm not sure if that's the last thing they thought about, but that was definitely some sort of like a cause for concern, I suppose. He made a fucking mint out of it.
Also, they wrote him out of the band a bit as well.
They wrote,
last two New Order albums got no bass on them.
They wrote him out of the band as well. James Young was saying last two New Order album's got no bass on him. So yeah, it all went wrong then.
Yeah.
All fell out.
Yeah.
Shame it when you've been together for that long and, you know, since you were kids and it all goes a bit south.
I mean, you expect that though. I'm a firm believer in like your rock and roll band. You should go out in a blaze of glory. Like
Well, they all fall out, don't they?
yeah, well, I said Oasis like with the smashing guitar on stage, wasn't it? When he's threatened to put a guitar across his head, didn't he? Liam to Noel, and Noel said, "I'm not having that anymore," and that was the end of that. That's what you want them to go down. That's how you sort of idolise.
Smiths fell out as well in a big time. They went through the courts
and stuff like that. But I mean, again, I don't want to like badmouth people, but there were certain royalties, and because I think Morrissey and Ma were doing the majority of the lifting in terms of music.
Yeah.
That Rock and what's his name? Joyce wanted more than their fair share. I mean, that was up to the courts to decide. But
yeah. I mean, it's nothing new, is it? Bands falling out and you know, going through the courts and you know, not speaking. And like, I get what you mean, because sometimes, you know, some of the best bands have like 2 or 3 albums.
Yeah.
You know, that's that. And then, you know, rather than fading away gradually and falling out and releasing dross.
You make a good quote there, and almost like Neil Young from Hey Hey My, as the lyric, "It's better to burn out than to fade away."
Right.
Which was actually on Kurt Cobain's suicide note.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit of an extreme way to leave a band.
I know. That's one way of doing it, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, yeah, it is, and it is a shame when you see like some of these bands that you think were iconic. Me and you've spoken about in the past, where like, you know, Ian Brown and all that, like losing the plot and coming back, and you just think, you know, leave the Stone Roses where they were. But then we saw something the other week, and we saw that
the karaoke Ian Brown.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
I don't know. I understand, because I've do a bit of performing myself. I understand the financial implications of not doing it, because he's got a band to pay.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for him to just press play on a tape or whatever,
Right, okay.
and then go out and perform. And rappers do it, you know, like all grime artists go out. Well, a lot of them do, just like with backing tracks. It's not much. It's not massively different. But I think because Ian Brown's made such a career off the back of live music. I mean, and he's fucking shite live anyway. I've seen him a few times. Have you seen him? Have you seen him live?
I saw him at, is it Heaton Park, Stone Roses?
Yeah.
And mate, I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought Plan B before him was better.
Yeah.
Honestly, I did. I thought he was mint. And like, Stone Roses came out and it was all right. It was Stone Roses, innit? But it wasn't like anything special. And I was expecting more, because it's Stone Roses and it's the first gig in years, and it was just okay.
That was such a money-making scheme.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate on camera, but I will talk about it afterwards as to how that particular tour came around.
Right, okay.
I don't want to get into legal trouble. Oh, right.
Oh, like James is shouting over.
But they got so screwed over on that record deal that they had. Do you not think that they should have got the money that they should have got the first time?
That's one argument for it, James.
James is saying they got so screwed over on the record deal that maybe they should have got the money the first time round. Listen, I mean, regardless of the reasons, I just thought the actual gig itself was a bit underwhelming.
I saw Ian Brown live at Leeds Festival once, and doing a cover of Billie Jean, and it was one of the most awful live experiences I've ever seen in my life. It's like
Ian Brown doing a cover of Billie Jean.
Yeah, he's done a few, like Michael. I think he's done Thriller as well. And that wasn't even any better. Honestly, it was fucking so bad. And you had to watch it because it was terrifyingly bad. You know, like
one of those where
like,
you know, you can't take your eyes off it.
Yeah,
it's so
I'd rather
horrible.
watch my mum cover Michael Jackson than watch Ian Brown do it again.
Well, that says it all.
She can't fucking sing.
Bobo's tackle man says for everyone a refund. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I think some, you know, artists just need to, you know, do something else, perhaps than singing in front of a karaoke machine or whatever. But Ian Brown's lost the plot a few years ago, didn't he? We all said that with the whole...
I mean, the pandemic affected us all differently.
Yeah, that's one diplomatic way of putting it. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know about if you've, you know, got any opinions on that. Have you been to a gig where you thought, you know what, I was really looking forward to it, and it was someone like, you know, you used to admire and who's just not got it anymore. Or on the other hand, you might have been pleasantly surprised. I remember going to see the Happy Mondays in the arena.
Yeah,
I thought it meant.
They always. I think their reputation precedes them in terms of like a lot of obviously the drug stories.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a shit Happy Mondays.
Yeah, and I was thought this might be a bit, you know, you don't know what you're gonna get, do you?
Yeah.
Because it was like obviously 20 years past the heyday. They're all getting on a bit, and I thought they might just turn up and just, you know, be painting by numbers, but they're really good.
Yeah.
And again, there's quite a few tunes they've done that you forget about. Do you know what I mean? Like one or two.
Yeah.
Really good.
I saw WuTang Clan at the arena a few years ago, and that was fucking atrocious.
Was it?
Yeah, it was so bad. It was just like 7 40 plus, pushing 50-year-old men, stoned heavily out of their skull, walking around this large arena stage. And literally,
Really?
so the most animated person, they brought old dirty bastard's son out to do a bit, and he was fucking out there like rabid, man. He was like really trying to get energetic with the crowd. It was so bad.
It's a shame, that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? How many of them is there in your WuTang clan?
Well, it changed. They have like so many affiliates and stuff like that. So it's hard to keep a number on them and stuff.
Fair
like
enough,
that.
but you think that between all of them, they would have been able to do a decent gig.
Yeah. Speaking of weed, right?
Go on, nice segue.
I pick my daughters up from school like 3 times a week, and there's a mum every single week who reeks. I'm not joking. Fucking howls of like skunk or weed.
Right.
What do you do in that situation?
What?
Like, do you say something? It's bad though. Like,
you after some?
No, not I'm after some.
Oh right, sorry. I thought you like
No,
saying,
like
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
hey, how much for the
That smells
sauce
nice,
out?
look.
Yeah,
Where
that smells nice.
Yeah,
Where'd you get it from?
Blue
Wink,
cheese,
wink.
is it? Yeah.
Yeah, all them ones.
What do you say? Do you say anything? You'd hope the school would be pick up on it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Because what's your concern? What is your issue with it?
My issue is that I don't want someone high. Would you want someone pissed up every single week turning up to school when they're picking up their kids?
No.
So
not
how's it any
really.
different?
Okay. There's
And she does look like heavily under the influence. And then they have the knock-on effect with the kids as well, and it's like the social care sort of aspect of it.
I'm always a bit wary of grassing up mums or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Where'd you draw the line?
like I don't know. It's difficult because if she was like, I don't know. I get where you're coming from, or if you saw.
I'm not going to. I don't think I am going to do it. I'm just curious.
Are you
as to-
like, do you say something to him? Do you know what though? I couldn't be doing with it, mate. It's horrible in that playground.
Yeah.
In any play, I've not been to your playground. In any playground, it's like trench warfare, honestly. And when I do the school run, I ain't got time for anyone.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm picking up my kids and getting the fuck out of Dodge. I don't want to chat to anyone. I don't want to speak to anyone. I'm not interested in any chit chat. And I just
keep your birthday invitations to yourself.
like,
I got shit to do at the weekends. I've seen Wacky Warehouse. It ain't for me.
Yeah. Oh well, no. I was there not long ago. Where was it? In Bunning Warrington. My daughter went to a party.
You went to a party in Warrington.
Yeah, I think it was Warrington. Was it?
And what school does she? Where does she go to school?
Erling.
That's bang out of order. That
Was it? No. I'm telling you. You know what? It wasn't Warrington. It wasn't that far. Oh, it was on the way to Warrington. It was near Warrington.
There should be like a radius.
I can't remember where it was. It was on the way. Anyway, and I can't complain because we've had a party there, so it wasn't that far. So I'd be a hypocrite. But again, and it's one of those situations where the kids are all playing and you're in this fun factory or play factory, and I'm just doing it on my phone, ignoring everyone. Do you know? I'm not ignorant. Like you say, I just don't want to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there should be some sort of etiquette when you have like kids' parties. Like, I know parents that do 3-hour parties.
3-hour party?
Like,
That's too much.
Nobody needs that.
You need like an hour of play and then half an hour for the food. Done. Hour and a half, yeah? That's you. No drama. Yeah, 3 hours. That's just taking the piss.
Torch? What do you call it? Waterboarding? That's what it's like.
I hate as well. I hate when Mrs. goes, like, Alice or Esme or Lily's got a party this weekend. I can't, I've got to work or whatever. Can you take him? You're like, fuck it, do I have to? And he's like, oh, come on. You don't want to miss out. And you're like, oh, can't you just leave them there?
And they're the good ones, aren't they?
Yeah, just leave the kid, drop them off, and I'll come back in 2 hours and get them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What's all this? I've got to stay. Do you know what I mean? It's just selfishness, that. No, but I don't get involved in all that playground stuff. If it was me, I'd probably just ignore it.
Yeah.
I'm being honest about what I'd do. Do you know what I'd do? I'd probably do a tweet about it.
I've done that.
Good lad. Man after my own heart. I'd probably come on a podcast and chat about it.
Done that.
And I'd probably do fuck all about it physically.
Probably going to do that.
Exactly. That is the best way.
But then it got me thinking, because we talk about addiction quite a lot on this show.
Now you're hitting me with my Achilles heel now. Hey, you found a weak spot.
Where do you lie on marijuana as a drug? I know obviously you don't use it, but do you figure it being an addictive substance or a problematic substance?
It can be for every drug is different for everyone.
Yeah.
I can take a painkiller if I hurt myself. But if I was popping, 2 or 3 every hour, then I've crossed the line into using again.
Yeah.
There are people that just, have there's people that have cough syrup as a drug.
A codeine and
Yeah, because of the drowsy factor in it, codeine and stuff. I won't take cocodamol, for example, because it's too strong.
Because you'll get a buzz off it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've had, where I've hurt myself or I've had a migraine or whatever. I think my missus has certain tablets, so she takes a light cocodamol. I won't have them. I'll have ibuprofen and paracetamol because it's just a bit too much.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the drug; it's the person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I know some people smoke weed all day long, function perfectly, never say boo to ghosts, never do anything wrong. Have a good job, raise the kids. No dramas. Some people smoke weed and just never move out of their house and just are constantly on a jam roll, sat in their underwear. Do you know what I mean? So it's
like purpose.
And also, this might sound stupid, but are you 100% certain she's smoking?
Mate, I've been around enough fucking stuff.
No, because sometimes you can have like
she's stunk of weed.
Because you might be in a house with a partner that smokes. No, and I've had it like not with necessarily weed smoke.
It stinks if someone in your house smokes weed. It's fucking horrible.
And I've had it where just with cigarettes.
Yeah.
One of my exes she smoked. She used to borrow me audio or whatever, and it just stunk. And it was stale smoke. It was minging. So there might be that. She might live with someone who just smokes weed all the time.
Yeah.
Does she, in herself? I know you're not a fucking psychologist, but does she seem like she's getting on with what she needs to do?
No, she looked a bit like fucking baggy-eyed and stuff. I mean, she's obviously turned up to pick the kids up on time, which is, well done. I don't know. I always think it's a bit of a problematic drug, me.
It can be, because obviously it sort of, knocks your motivation to do other stuff, doesn't it? It can, especially, I get the point you're making about driving, because you're not fully focused on your driving if you're stoned. But again, it's, some people as well, they smoke weed from like the age of 12 and they just do it every day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like they can just...
But is that not a problem? Is that not being addicted to a substance then? If you do it, that's what I mean. I understand when people's recreational needs take whatever drug it is, but if you're that heavily reliant on it day in, day out, and I think it becomes problematic in your wider circle.
Yeah, definitely. Some drugs as well, like different drugs have different type of addictions. Like some are physically addictive, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like
so you become dependent on them.
Yeah, alcohol, for example. If you stop drinking alcohol, without weaning yourself off it, can kill you.
That's what happened to Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, apparently it's just cold turkey, and she stopped. I think it was her organs or whatever stopped functioning. Other drugs are I think like sniff and crack and that is psychological. So you're addicted, but it's mentally rather than physically. Whereas if you're on heroin and you stop taking it, you physically goosed, aren't you? You can't do anything. So it's different, and I think with marijuana it is a psychological one, but for some people it's massively addictive.
Yeah.
You see some of the situations and the pickles that people get them in. I always think to myself, would you choose to do that if you felt like you had a choice? Probably not.
Yeah, and it's when people rely on it as a crutch as well. It's the same way, like we both I've not been known to drink excessively, and you as well. Yeah. When it becomes the crutch that you rely on to get you through your day, then it does become a problem.
There's 12-step groups just that focus on marijuana.
Is there really?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I'm not sure if it's Marijuana Anonymous or something like that. It might be, or Cannabis Anonymous. I think it's Marijuana Anonymous. But there is a 12-step program just focused on that. Because so it's obviously a real issue with someone. I don't know, but the trouble with that is, like, going back to your original thing, is I'm just a little bit like, are you going to help if you raise it with her? Are you going to say, yeah?
It'd be more, but I'm going to cause more issues. If
you're going to have a row?
Well, I don't want that in the playground.
Yeah, because that's another thing, isn't it? What the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you never know, dear. Does anyone know her? That's what you need. You need to plug yourself into the fucking playground.
I might just go around like
with some, or whatever, then playground.
Get some spray. Just be like, start smelling around.
Stand next to the playground with the old and that.
Yeah. Sorry, did I get you there? Yeah.
Or just stand next to go, can you smell that? That's horrible, isn't it? Who's been smoking weed in here? Hey, you think some parents know better, don't you, love?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
And she's there like,
what? Yeah. What are you saying? You want some weed? Yeah, I get it, because like when your kids come out of school, you don't want them smelling.
I just don't want.
We used to have that where we used to live in around the back of our house. I think there's people that used to skin up around the back of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my missus got rid of him.
Fair fucks to her. Bring her out to our school.
She definitely says so. But it's one of them, like I say, it's a tough one. Sam J says, I was addicted to weed during lockdown, bad times all day, every day. Not as bad with it now, though. Glad to hear that, bro, that you're not as bad with it, obviously, now. It can happen, man. I know loads of people that, when I was growing up, just smoke weed constantly.
Yeah, they become dependent on it. And I think because you do it that consistently, that becomes the filter that you see life through. And then once and this is the same in any drug or alcohol is any drug, is that once you take that away, if you've been dependent on something for so long, life just seems like completely shit scared, and you've been used to sort of making decisions based on however the drug is helping you, really. And obviously with the paranoia and, I don't know, people's thought process when they're high as well.
Yeah, the paranoia is really bad, isn't it, on weed? It's, it can be as bad as anything else, really. Some people proper lose.
I've gone under more on weed than any other drug.
Have you? That's what I mean, man. Listen, you know, for
White
me,
is in that, remember that?
White is. Oh, yeah. How'd you get out White is?
Well, that's what I mean. It always reminded me of being a kid as a drug. You know what I mean? Like, it always like college or, you know, that was the time. Then you sort of, you graduate.
You do, don't you? It escalates.
Yeah.
1 minute you're skinning up, like, behind the fucking bike sheds or whatever. The next thing you're fucking pawning things to buy sniff.
Yeah.
Was that just me?
No, well, I imagine other people were doing it. I work for the BBC, so I'm not going to admit that.
Right, okay.
No, but on to brighter notes, I'm trying Stoptober.
Right. For anyone who doesn't know, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but elucidate us.
It's to stop drinking during the month of October, which it shouldn't be difficult. I've stopped drinking for a year in the past.
Yeah,
I did.
I was debating whether to have a go at it, and then I realised it was actually something good you do. But you seem quite adept at just quitting for a bit.
I think it's a mindset.
You're one of the few friends that, if any, you've got that can do that.
Yeah, I did it for a year during lockdown, and I realised that, and then we talk about the marijuana stuff, but I mean, alcohol, I realised that it was having an impact on the sort of family life. So if I was going to get pissed during lockdown all the time, then I'm going to nip that in the bud for the better of for the better of my kids and stuff. So I did that for a year, and it's quite easy to sort of be driven by that. But yeah, when I said like I'm not doing it for a month or whatever, and then I didn't find it completely difficult, but I know that just from personal shit that I've been mentioning on this podcast before regarding mental health, I just think it's nice to get a bit of clarity over the month and then see where it goes up and towards Christmas and stuff. But I just like the idea of Stoptober. You see like an end date and then whatever carries on and stuff. But I'm starting jiu-jitsu as well this week, so that should be
you messaged me about that and you thought I was going to start giving you grief for it, but
you're not?
No, because you're
the one friend who hasn't. I can't wait to see in your fucking karate suit, as most of them said.
Have you been doing the wax on, wax on?
I'm going to come in the studio with my karate suit on.
You look after me if it kicks off. Right, sound. I'll get you down if it's all popping off down in darkest eccles. No, because Joe, who does paddock, I think he went jiu-jitsu. He started doing it. And I'm not going to knock someone who's doing something, you know, bit of exercise or whatever. Yeah. What's the thinking behind it? Are you getting picked on at school and that?
No, I just fancied like levering the fuck out of someone without being allowed to do it. And then being mates at the end. And I couldn't be asked with boxing because I think it takes a while before you get in the ring to spar. Yeah. And I just thought it'd be nice to try a new hobby. Yeah. I always think that life's all about sort of trying to learn new skills, and I'll probably go and be shit at it and stuff. But you know what? Nothing
wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, fair play to you, because Sam J says, wasn't Joe beat up by a 14-year-old girl or something? He might have been. I can't remember.
What, at jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think he mentioned something about that. Some kid.
But you can't do that. How the fuck is he? How is he supposed to, like? What does he do? Spark or? You can't.
I mean, I think he tried and just couldn't manage it.
Couldn't land one on.
She levered him. Yeah, she was a black belt and he was yellow or whatever. Yeah. No, listen, I get having hobbies, a bit of exercise. I know I go running and stuff. The lad's gone back to boxing and started taking him back there. He had a little bit of a break, but I took him back there and he seems to be enjoying it. Good to see John Shin, even. I'm not well.
I was on his podcast last week.
Oh, we are?
Oh, yeah, I don't think he's put it up yet, but yeah, I was on John Shin's.
How did you find it? Was it the three things? Was it
3 photos? It's a really good concept. Yeah. He gave me like 3 photos to choose from. He said I was the only person who sent him 6.
Typical, you know.
Quite vain.
Look at me.
Look at me with 6 photos of myself.
6 photos, I'm special. Pathetic.
But no, it was good, really good concept. Trip down memory lane. We spoke a lot about sort of our relationship, me and you, and sort of drugs.
Good.
And
that's what I like to hear.
And, it was good, man. I really enjoyed it. Nice, top bloke, John. I'm hoping to go to New York next year. So
he came here. He came to.
I know, I've seen,
He's such a good guy. And, you know, I think me and you are the same. We don't like loads of people, do we? But we like him.
No. Yeah. But the thing is, I think when we like someone, we really like them. That's it.
And it's funny because I did his podcast, and I remember my dad messaged me, and he went, "I've just seen that podcast you did with John Shin. That's the best thing you've ever done."
Your dad said that?
Yeah.
Paul, innit?
Yeah.
Don't watch this again then.
Yeah. I was like, what do you mean that's the best? That's the best thing I've ever done. I've been doing podcasts with him for 2 years. I've been doing podcasts as my job for the last 9. And that's the best I've ever done.
What's it? Paul Motters on Twitter, yeah?
Yeah. He was like, he messaged me something like that. It's like, the best thing you've ever seen. Something along those lines.
No, I mean, well, that's credit to John, isn't it?
Nah, it is, but do you know what? I did love it. And he just gets you chatting, doesn't he? And he's just a likeable guy.
Yeah.
And he came down here, man. He flew over. We had him on the watch along. We all went for something to eat. And so get over there, man, and say hello to him from me. He's laughing and saying love emojis, heart emojis. Ryan, Yanni, loads of people chatting about weed and the situation with it. Ryan Yanni says, what are your thoughts on decriminalising possession for personal use? I think drugs should be treated as a health issue rather than a legal issue, offering help to people rather than locking them up.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think studies show in places like Portugal, Amsterdam, that it brings down the crime rate. And obviously a lot of, especially like knowing that I grew up during the gang problems during the late 90s, early 90s in Manchester, that all stemmed around people fighting over territory and drugs. And if you remove the sort of product out of the way for people to sell on the illegal market, that removes a massive impact on crime. But then also the quality of drugs and stuff in it, I think it's just a little bit easy to manage. And when you look at weed, I just find it strange when you look how much of a taxable product it is in the States. It's mad that the States have actually legalised weed ahead of England.
Yeah.
You know, because they have always seemed quite draconian when it comes to laws on drugs.
First time I got in trouble was possession of cannabis. Community service I got.
Community service? How much were you holding?
An ounce. But it was split up into different bags.
So they could see that you were sort of had intention.
Yeah, so I got 180 hours community service, which, you know, it's my own fucking fault.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I think there's an argument to decriminalising it. And I think that, you know, starters, people are always going to smoke it, aren't they, if they want it? And there is a health thing where some people use cannabis oil and stuff like that, which can have some medicinal values.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think as well, you know, it's mad because if you were to say, you know, you were to invent alcohol, say it didn't exist and you invented it, so I've got this drug and this is what it does to you. Do you know what I mean? If you drink enough of it, you're going to end up ramming pint pots into people's faces and pissing yourself. And we're like, no, we're not legalising that. That's insane. Yeah, the side effects or the bad effects of weed are probably less than alcohol.
Fucking tobacco, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, if you if this was new, people go, no, not a chance. But obviously these have been long established. There was a comment here. Oh, yeah. John B says, would you do a top 5 documentaries episode? Bit of Herzog and all that. Would love to hear what you like, especially Jay with your fancy masters winking emoji. We're doing, right, the way things are going to do at Scotty and Morty, we're going to do top 5s, aren't we? We're going to start doing them as part of, right, we've got a Patreon. It's only £2.
£2, man.
£2 for a patron. So we're going to do 2 videos a week on this channel. It's going to do the smoking shed and this video live every Monday. And then the smoking shed probably go out on Wednesday.
Are we doing the top 5 as well? Is that what you call the smoking shed?
Yeah, top 5. So we're going to have this video alive and the smoking shed. But if you just sign up to our Patreon for £2 a month, you're going to get obviously everything that goes on this channel, but also we're going to do top 5s. And we're going to do articles as well, aren't we?
Yeah, so basically me and Jay obviously have interests mutually, but we've sort of set the challenge that we're just going to write about whatever comes into my mind. So for £2, it's £2 a month for £2.
Yeah.
£2 a month.
I think
you're going to get an emailed article every single week from both of us on God knows what topic.
On any topic.
Any topic at all.
You know, anything at all. So there's a link in the chat. Subscribe to it. Listen, no time's around. Don't worry, you're not going to miss out on this podcast if you don't, because we appreciate times are hard. It's just, you know, we're raising the bar here.
Production values are going up, you know.
You know what I mean?
That's a bit debatable, that.
Well, James Young, we are going to give him a mic next week, so be careful what you wish for, because you need a lot more from him.
Yeah.
Because he keeps shouting over and we ain't got a mic set up. So we're going to, on Wednesday, there'll be a top 5, and on Wednesday, on a Patreon channel, and on Wednesday, there'll be a smoking shed on this channel as well. So you can get sorted out, don't worry, because I appreciate it's only £2, but times are hard. But if you do subscribe, you're getting extra video and an article from me and him, both of us,
both
on anything.
of us, on anything at all, every single week. And the thing is that
Can I write one about you?
You can write one about me if you want. I've not written one about you, although mine is about idiots.
It's a bit rude, isn't it?
Anyway, but yeah, it's decent quality for for the money.
Yeah, it is. So, like I said, next Monday here live as usual, and on Wednesday we'll post on this channel a smoking shed, and on the Patreon there'll be an extra video.
First
there.
500 people get it for £2, and then when we get that Joe Rogan money, it's going up to £3. So you need to hurry up.
Joe Rogan money.
Yeah, Joe.
Hey,
What do you reckon to Joe Rogan?
I can't be doing with him, mate.
Why?
He's like any one of them that's like, oh, I've read something on the internet. This is, don't take the vaccine. You know, go and drink this medicine I found in a tent. Like, what are you on about? You're not a doctor, so don't pretend you are.
Right, but what about his podcast though? In terms of like,
do you know what I like with Joe Rogan?
He has some fascinating guests. You can't take that away from him. Like
He
Mike,
does.
I love the one. Have you seen the one with Mike Tyson like licks the toad?
What?
So, no, he doesn't lick a toad live on Joe Rogan, but there's like ayahuasca or whatever drug it is that's in the Amazon, and it might be like what do you call it? The adrenaline. I can't remember the name of the actual drug. Anyway, you lick this toad, and it's like what the Native Americans like used to see like God with, and like Tyson's on there is describing like when he calls it, yeah, you got the fucking toad, man, and like lick the fucking toad, and I probably got him high. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I think getting Mike Tyson high is a great idea. I can see that ending well. I like Joe Rogan's guests. He has some good guests on there, and he does get him chatting. It's just some of the things he seems to have become a bit sort of this whole. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong and getting the chats and everything, but like this, is he not one of the anti-vaccine, anti-woke like types? People?
I can't keep up.
It seems a bit much, and also sometimes he'll have like these massive long podcasts with like economists and stuff, and I ain't got time for that. But I like the clips. Some of the clips he's had on there where he'll have like Robert Downey Jr. or whoever, or who was it he had on?
I watched Robert Downey Jr. one this week actually. He's good because it goes on about addiction. He's another one who did jiu-jitsu actually.
So Sam J says Joe Rogan is a clamper. I've known that for years. Sedinda 98 says Rogan was all right a few years ago, but he's gone down the pipeline. He's moved quite far right. Yeah, I got the impression he's shifted to the right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, you know.
Big advocate of gun rights.
Big advocate of gun rights. He's into all hunting and all that, isn't he? Doesn't he like to get his crossbow? Steve loves it, I think. Steve loves all that sort of stuff, doesn't he? But yeah, I've never been a massive Joe Rogan fan. I respect the fact that he's made it work for him.
On their political views.
Absolutely, I do it all the time. 100%.
Seriously, but
yeah.
I mean, this is.
Have you just met me or what? You know I just do.
Yeah, but
can I just fucking have?
Are you fucking cheered up? And where's your lemsip? Right, I like because it's a great quote, and I'm just gonna like I always rinse like get on Anthony Bourdain's chain every frigging week, but he says something about just because I don't like you, just because I don't agree with your views doesn't mean that I don't like you. So can you dislike someone just because of their political views? Are you not part of the problem? Is what I'm trying to say.
It depends on the political views. If someone is centrist,
like racism's.
If someone's ultra far right, their views are that anyone who's not Aryan should be shot in the head. Then yes, I wouldn't get on with them.
But how are you going to change the views by being so anti-Aryans? But is that not a view?
I'm not anti-Aryan.
It looks like you're
listen, mate. My lady friend's blonde hair and blue eyed. I've got nothing against Aryan people. I just don't advocate they should be better than anyone else. I just don't believe in the master race.
Do you not think that you should come to a table somewhere and find some...
Those are the Nazis. Should sit down. So listen, all right, listen, you like the Aryans, we'll give you that. But what about... We just have mixed race people are all right as well. Can we have that with you? No. Come on, like... There's certain things...
You think you should just kill them all?
No, don't say kill anyone. But, like, listen, my point is, if someone has political views that are slightly extreme, I'm not really for it. Also, if they have political views that... I think sometimes we label people ultra or far right when they're not really. They're just right of centre, and I get that. I can... one of my best friends who I grew up with at school is a Tory voter. I've not got anything around, Tory voters or people that think that Conservatives are the best way to go. I don't agree with that and I'll never do it. But I understand that that is the point of view for some people. And I've had mates who, when they've started earning a few quid, have shifted a bit more to the right. But I think I could dislike someone because of their views. Easily.
Dislike them because of their political views? Or just
if their political views were slightly hardcore, hardline, then yeah.
But do you not think
do
you not think it's better to be in the room and have a conversation about their views so you could maybe try and find some middle ground on it rather than just sort of automatically say, I don't like you because I don't like your views? That's a bit smug, that, for me.
A bit smug in what?
Yeah,
just saying I'm not having anything to do with
I'm not having I just like, I'm right, you're wrong, in a bit. I just think in terms of moving forward as a human race, do you not think there's more in it to have a bit of discourse about what the problem is?
But you've got to keep yourself safe as well, aren't you?
Well, who's fucking harming you?
Well, if you're meeting with someone to try and make friends with someone who's overtly
I'm not saying meet a Nazi in a dark night.
No, I don't. I mean mentally.
Yeah.
If you're meeting someone who's like, because I covered this when I was in news. I used to interview people who had, I went on an EDL rally.
Yeah.
One of the first things the guy said to me, one of the first guys I interviewed, because I was, I was wet behind the ears, and I thought we're actually going to put these idiots on the radio. And he said, we ain't got a problem with you lot. It's the Muslims we don't like. Now, if I had sat down with him and discussed it, am I going to make him, maybe? But do I have to look after myself as well in that situation?
Yeah, no,
I don't need to be giving my time to this guy who, my life is probably going to be okay not knowing him.
Yes, no, I understand.
Do you know what I mean?
That.
So, I mean,
It's an optimistic point of view that I have in that sense. I'm just wondering.
Don't get me wrong. I've got friends who've got all sorts of different views. You know, I have.
I just find when you get
I don't have many friends, or I don't have any friends really who have extreme views.
Yeah, and I think, and I've definitely sort of ditched friends over the years when they've come out of the closet as being sort of xenophobic or numerous sort of isms. You know,
that's what I mean.
Part of me, but then I've also got friends that have had them views in the past that have changed their views because I've had conversation with them.
There's a balance, though, isn't there? Like, it depends how ingrained those views are, how extreme those views are. If you've got someone who is a bit sort of old-fashioned in their views, and you need to educate them a bit and go, hang on, saying that language using isn't okay.
You can't use it, yeah.
You know, this is why I don't like it, because it upsets me. Or, do you know what I mean? I've had those conversations with some of my friends, and they've got it. Do you know what I mean? One of my best friends, if not my best friend, me and him had a fight once in his garden because of something he said. Like, literally. Do you know what I mean? We're not in his garden, my mate's garden. And, you know, now he's like my brother. Do you know what I mean? And we're only like 16 or whatever. So people, I get your argument, but there's a line where I go, no.
Lost cause.
Yeah, and also, I've been being honest, I don't really encounter that many people in my day-to-day life where, you know, I'm likely to meet or engage with people who have...
But I always think that that's the major problem, not just on you. I think you have these sort of different facets of society, and that's why we do have such extremes, and there is never any sort of discourse between them, really. Because I think, as much as people go far right, the far left are just two sides of the same coin.
There you go, though. You know, I wouldn't.
But you'd speak to a far left person the more you speak to a far right.
It depends on how far. Again, though, you know, if you're so far left that you're like militant, you know, hate certain groups for no reason and want to, you know, go and petrol bomb others, then I'm not going to have it with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm getting at. If your views are you vote Tory and you think that, you know, benefit cuts are good and you, I don't know, think Brexit was the best thing that's ever happened to this country, we're on different pages, but there's still a possibility I could get on with you.
Yeah, it's like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like
I'm not saying that I would never speak to anyone who doesn't share me. I own a channel with people that don't share a lot of my views.
Yeah.
We get on with mates, but some of us have different views on other things. But in terms of do I need to engage more with people that have totally different views from me? Not really. I don't feel like I do.
No. I remember reading an interview with Stephen Fry once, and he said that he often picks up, he'll pick up like 5 or 6 books a year, and 2 of them will be on a topic or by a writer that he doesn't like or doesn't agree with the views, just to give him more of a sort of rounded view. Because do you not fear sometimes that because you are protecting yourself, as in your words, that you're maybe alienating yourself from a wider truth?
It depends, because when I say protect, I mean, I'm only talking about a certain group. Like, I'm not talking about just centrists or, you know, people who are a little bit right-wing. I'm talking about people who, you know, are just never going to be for me, and hanging around with them or talking to them or even having it with them on social media just causes dramas. And mentally it does.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I've tried that.
Yeah.
I've tried engaging with people and end up angry. You know what I mean? I've blocked family members on Facebook and stuff because the views are just too extreme for me. And I mean extreme.
City fans.
Yeah. Well, I can't have it. Do you know what I mean? It's not all right to be a City fan. It's disgusting. No, but it's an interesting point. I'll get in some comments before we wrap up. Paul Jones joined the Patreon. Thanks, Paul. There'll be extra content up there, and you'll get an email next week as well with an article from me and the Boy Wonder over there. Billy says, agree with Scotty, but some people will not shift their mindset on their views, a bit like Twitter. Sanveer, Manchester 1982 says, I know works with people with right-wing Brexit Tory views, and to be honest, I tend to distance myself with some of these. Sam J says, Joe confirmed a BNP member. Yeah, no. When I say, like, to be honest with you, we all like a slightly left wing on the channel, just certain things we disagree with or don't agree with on certain issues. Santa Notch says there's people with extreme views and there's people who feel social pressure to act a certain way. There's all sorts. Most people you can have discourse with, but of course, there's some who are stubborn. He's always good stuff, Santa Notch. He was getting involved in a chat with me and Steve on the Brew on Friday, and we had a really good chat about Brian Clough and other stuff as well. I'm going to wrap it up there. Scotty, we'll be back on Wednesday. We've got videos going out on this channel, on the Patreon, and on Stretford Paddock. There's a link in the description for the Patreon if you want to sign up. It's £2 a month, right? £2 a month. Listen, we get times hard, but we're full. We'll just do it just to cover costs. £2 a month, and there'll be extra content on there. Adam Patterson is in the chat as well. Patterson, what word were you about? You know what went on in
Bulgaria.
No, not Bulgaria. What's it called? Subway today.
What? I need to hear this story. But as Jay was alluding to there, man, £2 a month. You're going to get a load more content. My article that's coming out this week will be about why it's good to be an idiot. I don't know if you've got any idea what yours is going to be about.
Well, you're speaking from experience about something, so I'll do something like why it's good to be so talented.
Okay, so there's maybe only one presenter for next week, Scotty and Motta. Until that time, thank you everybody who's watching tonight. Please subscribe, sign up to the Patreon, give us a handout with production values going up. We've got to feed James Young in the corner.
Yeah, we've got to get James a mic so he don't have to keep shouting over to us. We'll get a microphone for the next one.
Right, see you on Wednesday, man.